Frank, talk to us about why you've helped launch this project Unfinished. What does it mean to you?
I see the American project suffering. I see people suffering, and uh, I look at my journey, and more importantly, my family's journey here in this country, and we've had 5 generations of being builders and innovators and entrepreneurs, and we've benefited greatly from this country and all it's offered. I feel there's a responsibility to make it better, just like others did for me. So if you think of this American project as unfinished, you kind of get the point of unfinished. But we see an economy right now that is uh, completely out of whack. There's tremendous inequity, and it's not sustainable. We see a democracy that is polarized to the limit, where it's at the breaking point, I would say. And we see technology, which is, ironically, holds the promise to solve all of this, and instead it's exacerbating the problems. And so this is what Unfinished is about: to get a grip on this and to redirect, reinvent really technology and redirect it so that it can work for people and make our democracy much more healthy, and work for people so that there's a shared economy, and everybody gets to benefit from the game changer that technology is.
In our last episode, Frank, we threw out this question: is tech our undoing? And I'd love to know what's your answer to that question.
Yeah, if you step back and think about culture and change, which this episode is about, it's nothing has had more impact on our culture than technology, and nothing has been a bigger change agent than technology. So as we talked about it and reflected on it, we came to the conclusion that we're not going to fix the economy and make it more just, and not fix our democracy and make it less polarizing and more inclusive and more constructive without fixing technology. So that's why Unfinished Labs is so important to our effort here.
What I'm hearing you say, Frank, it sounds to me like you want technology to work for people and not just have people working for tech, and sort of shifting how the value flows in this system. Talk to me about Unfinished Labs and the very boldly named Project Liberty. What are these things?
Project Liberty is a name we've given to a new protocol, really, that this thin layer that sits on top of the internet as we know it, and really repurposes the internet and redirects the internet in a way that it protects people.
Allison, I'd love to bring you in here to flesh out more of what does this look like? What's going to be possible if we have more controls over our data, fleshing out what this Project Liberty thing is and what it might actually enable.
We really need true public and community spaces that really work for people first. And a critical first step of that is to create a shared public infrastructure. And that's what we're building. It's opening up an opportunity to build spaces that operate in a whole new way, where we control our data by default. And we know who else in this square is actually human. And we can all own the power of our own networks. And with new technology that we have available today, we can actually embed these principles into the core layer so that people who are building on top, social innovators or change makers and entrepreneurs, can actually build public and community spaces that are designed to serve the people who use them.
Braxton, I'm going to tap you in now, and then we can open this thing up. If I'm watching this, listening to this, I have in my head a model. It's called Facebook. It's a global town hall. I have this other thing called Twitter. It's a global town hall that's striving to encourage healthy conversation. That's what the CEO of that company talks about a lot now. So what is different about Project Liberty? Is it essentially a public version of a Facebook or a Twitter? and how is it enabling something that we don't currently have access to?
A global town hall really shouldn't be privately owned. I think that's most people would agree. And putting any one person in charge of, saying they're unbiased, the way you've heard in the news, and an unbiased, benevolent kind of dictator of how we all interact, just I think should be concerning to most people. So what we think is different is focusing on one, a return to protocols versus platforms for orchestrating the town hall so that it's done as an extension of the internet and the web, as opposed to held within the bounds of a privately held platform. So that's the first part. We thought that the town hall infrastructure should primarily be like the way most roads are, public infrastructure, running on protocols that are governed in a way that is fair for all. Because your relationships are your relationships. They're not, those are my Facebook friends, those are my Twitter followers. Those are my friends, those are my followers. Wherever I show up, they can see me and I can see them, whether I'm using, app A or app B. So that's really a fundamental difference. Is that kind of shared space that really is truly shared.
Yeah, I'd also add to what Braxton said is that this protocol will be open. Our intention is to give the protocol to humanity, and it will be open source and available to everyone.
When I hear the word protocol, I know what that means because I'm a big nerd and my mom was a computer programmer and I had a computer since like 1983 in the house. But a lot of people may not know what that means. So I'm gonna try to explain this and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
Email has a standard protocol such that I can be a Gmail user and I can send something known as an email to a Yahoo user or an AOL user, and we can both send and receive because it meets a certain standard. You used roads, and we have a certain standard for roads: asphalt, concrete, signage standards, so you know when to slow down, stop, what the speed limits are, written in a certain language, right? We have protocols to govern how we interact in these spaces. Are you essentially proposing some common infrastructural standard for what a social network is?
That's correct. So there we have protocols for the web. The web actually is the hypertext transfer protocol now, and so that's rules for how websites, work, right? And so we're proposing to extend those rules to encompass the way that people interact in the digital domain or in digital spaces.
Yeah.
So, our relationships, there can be a protocol for that any application, any platform can use. It should not be proprietary.
So I want to focus on this innovation. Like, you're building this public infrastructure, you're going to gift it. Sounds really nice, really altruistic. Yet we live in a world of extraordinary capitalism and financial incentives and investors who seek extraordinary returns. What is the lure here for the next wave of innovators to build on top of this public infrastructure rather than pursue the winner take all model that's proven so successful for a relatively small group of super rich people?
Well, that's a good question. I think that for innovators, it's a much better world. I've had VCs tell me that as much as 30% of the funding for startups now goes into Facebook to pay for exposure to reach users. So we're proposing to extend the web so that it's a whole different ballgame as far as how you can reach users and people, because their relationships, once again, are owned by those people. And so it actually should be more open for entrepreneurs than the current world. You see now a lot of entrepreneurs, their end game is just to be bought by one of the big 6 tech companies, where we should really ideally return to a world where entrepreneurs can build companies, applications, and companies behind them that flourish on their own, that aren't meant to just be, hoovered up into the small group of basically in a tech oligarchy.
In a way, it's about embedding conscience into how technology is developed.
Frank, this is all sounding beautiful. I like it. How do I sign up? How do we Jean-Luc Picard this? How do we make this so?
Well, it's you can check out the unfinishedlabs.io site or the projectliberty.io site for starters. And what is key to Unfinished is the network we've built of network partners, important individuals and institutions that are that are key stakeholders in our society and care deeply about the future of our society and of this American project. And so having these partners like Georgetown, like Ford Foundation, like Aspen Institute, and I'm sorry, I won't list them all because I don't want to miss anybody, but they're all listed on the site, and the list is growing daily. And we invite everybody in because we need all these voices, not the embedded voices of the incumbents. You know, people want solutions. So we're not going to fix democracy or fix the economy unless and until we fix technology. And so this is a project for all of us to be involved in, which is the whole point of building a new protocol, putting it out into the world. So everybody owns it. It's a public good, a common good. And then let the entrepreneurs like ourselves, quite frankly, you know, we'll build on it. You'll build on it. Other people will build on it. But now we'll have a fair, level playing field.
I love that. I'm signing up. Maybe I'm already signed up. I'm clearly hosting this thing. So I'm signed up, but I'm going to get other people to sign up too, because I dig everything you just said, Frank, Braxton, Allison. I hope Project Liberty will be a part of building a platform for 1,000 beautiful answers to Bloom in a healthier version of capitalism on a common invested foundation that we can all participate in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barrett. Good day.